How's everybody doing tonight? Tonight will be my 34th discussion. Tonight I'm speaking with Ryan Couitt of Dreamwell and Amitie. Super stoked to talk to him. Dreamwell just put out a crazy dope album, Modern Grotesque. So good. I can't wait to talk to him, see what's going on with him, and former New England, person. So it'll be fun. Um, Hopefully the wind's not too crazy for everybody. I lost power on Friday for a good 10 hours plus. Wind is going pretty crazy right now, so I was hoping I didn't lose power, but it looks okay right now. So just waiting for Ryan to pop on. Hope everybody's good. Hope everyone's safe. He'll be jumping on any second. Make sure you check out my buddy Ron, Gene C and Creamer's new podcast, Must Listen. It's going to break anytime soon. So anybody that doesn't know about that, please go over to his IG page. Show some love. Ryan should be jumping on any second. R.I.P. to the Marvin Hagler, also New Hampshire guy right here. Hold on, get Ryan right now. Hey Ryan,
Hey, what's up?
how you doing?
I'm doing good. Just got back from practice.
Nice.
And
Thank
yeah.
you so much for doing this. I appreciate you taking the time
No,
out.
of course. Thank you.
Did I botch your last name?
What did you say?
I said Couitt.
Coit.
Coit. I
Yeah,
knew
so
I
like a
botched
koi.
it. I'm
Yeah,
horrible with
like
names. I'm I'm
it's like a
horrible.
koi fish. Like
Sorry
like a
about
koi
that.
fish with a T, yeah.
Yeah, I'm so bad. And did I get Amitie right?
Yeah, I think that's how it's said.
Yeah, because I've heard so
Yeah.
many people say different the way that's
Yeah,
pronounced. So
I feel like even like half the band that sometimes is like remembering how it's said.
yeah, I was like, I hope I don't botch both of these things right when I was announcing.
I've grown up my entire life having my last name mispronounced. It's never been said correctly.
What band practice was it? Dreamwell practice or
Yeah, Dreamwell. Minus Justin.
nice? So usually I just ask about how you first got introduced to like heavy music. I know you were born in '97, so
Yeah.
uh, um, what kind of drew you to listening to heavy music, and what were your first influences with heavy music?
Um, so it's weird. It's all over the place because like the main albums that stuck with me that really drew me into it is like I discovered them when they were released, but like I said, I was still like these albums happened in like 2001, 2003. So like I'm like 7, 8 years old, kind of like picking up the hand-me-downs of like my brother's music
Yeah,
because I kind of missed the whole LimeWire phase of music because my brothers were preoccupied doing that, destroying every home computer that existed in my household. So it was basically like I'd be home like by myself or something, and I'd like wander into their room and be like, look at their CD collections, be like, oh, well, let's pick this. And basically, like the main albums that stuck with me were um, like Billy Talent's like first album, Billy Talent One, and then Coheed and Cambria's Second Stage Turbine Blade and AFI Sing the Sorrow. So like basically like all those albums in between 2001 and 2003, like they picked them up freshly, and I kind of just like found them like through that. Um, Besides that, it was kind of just like random mix CDs that I'd find for my brother, and I don't even know who the hell I was listening to. I would just like listen to, be like, yeah, this is kind of cool, and so yeah, mostly like Slipknot, like Iowa, I listened to a lot, and then the self-titled Slipknot, and yeah, mostly that. It wasn't really, it never really started with punk and hardcore. It was almost more like on the metal side
yeah,
because I guess like if you go all the way from like the beginning, then like I obviously listened to AC/DC like forever
Yeah,
until I was like, oh, there's way cooler shit than AC/DC out there. And then that became Black Sabbath. And then kind of like, yeah, basically once I found Black Sabbath and was like, oh, there's a darker side to like general rock music, then like it kind of kept going down that vein as far as it goes.
yeah,
Um, and then just growing up finding the exact niche that like it fit.
yeah,
Um, yeah, I never like fully fell into pop punk a lot. I was more so definitely like the straightforward metalcore, like mall scene metal fucking like category of people in high school.
yeah.
Uh, so like Vano was really big, like once I started fucking middle school. Uh, but I didn't really go to shows until my first show I didn't go to until I was like 16, and that was a hassle to even get there. So
Now, were you always? Are you originally from Rhode Island? Have you always lived in Rhode Island?
I'm from New Bedford, so I'm about like 35, 40 minutes to the right. I've always been close to the Providence and Boston.
Yeah,
So most of the shows I've been to have been like South Coast Mass and Rhode Island.
yeah,
Uh, Justin and Anthony are like the ones that are solely from like the Providence area.
yeah.
Uh, yeah, I've just always kind of been like around, and Boston never really made sense because it was farther away, and I mean, I can relate to people in Providence more than Boston. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Providence always had like a good like like an art scene, music scene, like very
right.
varied art scene and music scene. There was always a bunch of different kinds of music going on there, and it was
Mm.
always fun to go to Providence when I was going to shows and stuff like that. Boston was always great, but it was always more of a not to say tough guy scene, but
I mean, it was.
I mean, which is like I enjoy some of that tough guy music too as well. But like I
Yeah,
said,
definitely. But
Providence scene was definitely like fun, and there was a lot of great times.
definitely, like the more so, like you can do whatever the fuck you want, and obviously other people are doing it. It's like everyone that wants to kind of like move outside of the box was like more so out of Providence, it seemed.
Yeah.
I mean,
Now,
like hell, you have like people like Daughters and Lightning Bolt and shit. So it's
yeah.
like,
Now,
it's definitely.
did you ever get to see Lightning Bolt live?
No, I've never seen them live, but I've seen many videos, and KZ, like anytime KZ drums and isn't doing like vocals and lyrics, like they're highly influenced by Lightning Bolt and all that shit. We do like some random Doom stuff on the side on a free day sometimes, but yeah, no, Lightning Bolt's shit. It's sick.
Yeah, definitely. They were great live. I loved going to see Lightning Bolt back in the day.
Mm.
So fun. So what was like when you started listening to like the heavier type of stuff, like did you start going down the rabbit hole of like screamo, or was it mainly just like metalcore stuff like Converge or in that vein?
It was mostly metalcore up until the like 2015, like 2014, 20 like that, like basically when Touche Amore came out with um the fuck's the Blue album? It's Survived By. Like It's Survived By was the first Touche Amore album I listened to, and that's kind of how I got grappled into the more post like scene of all the genres. So that was basically around the same time like I had my first bands too.
Yeah.
So it's more so like hearing those early Touche and like early Pianos albums that like really grabbed me and like just basically like stole me away from like the yeah, metalcore is cool, but like this is cooler.
Now,
So
when was the first time you wanted to play guitar? Did you get a guitar when you were younger, or what made you pick up a guitar?
yeah, I've been playing guitar since I was like 7, like actually seriously since I was I don't know, 14, 13. Like I've always had a guitar since I was 7. I originally wanted to play drums, but as drums are, they're loud and take up a lot of space in a house. So it's kind of like, sure, we could get you this drum kit, but it's gonna like basically be a pain in the ass for you to practice it almost. Like that wasn't said to me, but like in my own sense, I felt it would be easier if I just played guitar, kind of.
Yeah.
And I also kind of saw the price tag of a drum kit versus like me getting a guitar, and I guess I kind of felt some guilt there. And it was basically like Christmas was coming up, and it was like, what do you want? Do you want drums or do you want guitar? So it's like, I'll just take the guitar. Like that's fine.
Yeah.
And you know, as any kid, I never really like took it seriously or practiced religiously or anything like that. I probably started lessons around, I don't know, I was like 12 or something, and then I took lessons for about like 5 years. But like again, I was bad at practicing. I never practiced. I just like went weekly to the practices and like felt bad every time.
Yeah.
Because I'd like go and try to learn different songs that I wanted to learn like differently, not like the scales or anything like that. Or like I'd write a song. So eventually, after a very long time of me just not showing up practicing, I'd like start being like, well, yeah, I didn't practice this, and it's very obvious, but like I came up with this. So my teacher kind of started like shifting gears into like what I was doing almost, and was just like, okay, obviously like they're not gonna like keep practicing the sheet music.
Yeah.
And I was just like, yeah, so like I wrote this for like this band I'm starting to do or whatever. And he'd be like, oh, that's cool. He'd like, I'd have no idea what the like hell I was playing besides it sounded cool. And he kind of started breaking down like, oh yeah, you kind of like playing a lot of triads and stuff, and like would try to basically was just trying to pump the theory into me in like any way he possibly could. And like it did stick to like some degree. I
Yeah.
I know shit now from it. But yeah, that's kind of like when I slowly started trickling out of lessons, and then I just had a lot of shit going on at home and school, and it was just like I didn't have the time to practice
Yeah.
the
Now,
theory.
what was some of your first bands? Was it a metalcore band that you first started since you were into metalcore, or?
My first band ever that I actually played a show with was just like a straightforward hardcore band. Um, we played I think two shows, maybe three. But yeah, it was just like it was very just like at the time hardcore for like 2014, 2014 I think about. Yeah. Like 3065 was still a venue in Wareham. So that was kind of like the first venue we went to. But yeah, I didn't really like write any of the songs. It was kind of just like the vocalist that like took me and a couple other guys like under his wing and like basically taught us everything he knew and like every single band that was like relevant within the scene. And yeah, basically that band was how I got into every single like underground band and stream and genre and whatever. It was like through that guy. And yeah, that was the first band I was in. I didn't write any of the music besides learning it and like playing my first show ever at like 16 years old, being scared out of my mind. And like, yeah, first show we played, and like we had to stop after two songs because some like dude in the pit got like a nosebleed or something. And I was just like, this show I played before even going to a show. So I
Oh,
literally
really?
had I had no idea what like local shows are like.
Yeah.
Like by the time I wanted to go to shows was like when one of the VFWs got like shut down because there was a stabbing at a Vanna show. I don't know which venue or when that happened, but I know it happened. And like so like when that happened, like my mother was very much so just like, oh, this isn't maybe like a safe place to be kind of.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was kind of just like held back from doing those things. And I didn't have a license until I was 18, so I wasn't really just able to go out and do it myself.
Yeah.
Uh,
Now, what? Now, was that first band? Did you guys record anything?
We didn't record anything, no,
No.
but it was called Narrow Path, and I think there's like a couple YouTube GoPro videos of that first show,
Yeah.
like from behind my amp or something, and you can't hear shit. But like, yeah, that exists if you really needed to go back and find it. Um, yeah, that lasted about a year, and then me and the other guitarist from that band, we went and started another band like a year after called Century. So that was like our first, that was my first like actually recorded like musical release that I've ever done. It might be floating on Spotify still. I'm not sure, but like the band was Century, and then the EP was This Too Shall Pass. Um, so that was like my first recorded bit of music,
And
and
was that like the same genre, like a hardcore band, or was that more of a
it definitely strayed more so like almost like almost like a precursor to what Dreamwell's first LP was in a way.
mm,
It was like this very like classically like Defeater, Touche Amore, post-hardcore style, whatever the hell you want to call it.
yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah, that was like my first actual release piece of music, and then that eventually ended up falling out, and within a couple years of that just being ashes, Dreamwell finally started up, and then it's kind of been going since then.
Yeah. So how did all you guys get together for Dreamwell? Since like you're kind of from Western Mass and those guys are from
Mhm.
Providence. Not that it's far away, but I mean, how did you guys all connect together and get it started?
Yeah, so when the band Century existed, uh, me and Ramsey, the old vocalist of Dreamwell, we were good friends with this band, Anyone Anyway, and we always played with them whenever we went through Providence, basically. And actually, the first time I saw Anyone Anyway was opening up for a Framework show in Providence. At I think at the time it was Deviate. I don't know. It's like been Club Hell, Deviate, fucking Dive
Oh,
Bar.
yeah,
It's been
Club
a,
Mel.
it's been a million names.
Yeah.
Whatever that place is. I went there, and actually yeah, I went there with like the vocalist of that first hardcore band because one of his other bands was playing that too. But then like I finally saw Anyone Anyway for the first time when they were starting out, and I was just like I was blown away by what they were doing because it was like the first band that I saw locally that moved.
Mm,
You know, like they didn't just like sit in their spot and play their instruments.
yeah.
They fucking were entertaining. Um, so that stuck with me, and basically just made sure I became friends with them. Like, because then our band Century ended up playing our first show with them, and they did like a stripped down acoustic set. And then, so yeah, so we just like kind of remained buds with them the whole time. And then once Century finally ended, and me and Ramsey were trying to start up this new thing as Dreamwell, it was kind of just like me and him. So like anytime trying to start a band, you can't find members because everyone's already in a band, or I mean not good enough, or not motivated enough, or whatever it may be. And so yeah, we ended up talking to, I think it was like Nick and Colin and Anyone Anyway, and there was like they knew Justin through playing other shows with them in their old band. So we found Justin through Anyone Anyway, and then because we got Justin finally, Justin got Anthony, who played drums with them in old bands, back out of like drum retirement. So then we finally had me, Ramsey, Justin, and Anthony, and then we finally got together for a couple jams, and then I think like Ramsey ended up putting up some posts on the internet, basically searching for another guitarist, and Aki eventually found that, and so we just kind of fell into place. Yeah.
And that was like was that early 2016 or was that in 2017 that you guys actually started?
in, I think the first initial jams of just like the four of us happened summer of 2016, maybe I want to say. But then, yeah, like once 2017 came around, it was like finally we were all in the picture. Yeah.
Yeah, and the Distance Grows Fonder album was the first thing you guys did. I know Bury Me was
Yep.
a single that you guys put out
Mhm.
beforehand, like maybe a couple months before that had dropped. Did you guys didn't make a demo or anything like that? Did you?
No, so basically, like that album was supposed to be the demo,
Yeah,
is because we self-recorded it with Aki because she had a studio in like Somerville, Mass, with another one of their friends, and we went in initially just like gonna record it as a demo, and then we kind of just started, and we were like, well, we already have this and it's like listenable, so might as well just put it out there since there isn't anything existing anyways.
yeah.
And
So
yeah, so like the LP one was supposed to be the demo and ended up just being the album.
yeah, and how was the reception when you first put that out? But,
it wasn't like huge by any means. It was just kind of like we put it out. Some people listened to it, and it was kind of that. And we just kept trying to like play shows. I feel like from like basically when we started as a band was like when the scene in general around us was like recouping
yeah,
because it was kind of just like overflowed by you know a lot of metalcore bands and just like the shit that was like pay to play and the scene wasn't very good
yeah,
at the time. So it was like trying to get back into that. We yeah we didn't want to fall into the whole pay to play trap again.
yeah,
And there's like the obvious list of promoters to not associate with, or people are kind of going to look at you bad. But that being said, there's only so many people that are putting on shows in the area and so many venues. So eventually, we like kind of like after just existing enough, we finally slid our way into like the basement scene,
yeah,
basically, and like finding people that were doing basement shows.
yeah.
And yeah, it's just been a slow ride since then.
Now, was that primarily in Rhode Island you guys were playing shows, or were you like kind of Western Mass, Rhode Island? Did you back then? Did you make it up to like Boston and even north?
It was mostly the Boston area, and we like went up to Manchester, New Hampshire a bit. Um, because again, it was kind of just like the only shows we were getting.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah, I don't think we played any shows in Providence until KZ was in the band, maybe. Like we'd actually never played Rhode Island until, yeah, I think like the show we played with State Faults might have been the first Rhode Island show, and that was like basically a basement show at that. It was just like in some random church
yeah.
that like Matt rented out. Yeah. So yeah, it's weird. Like we originally said we were like a Boston band because that's kind of where the members resided, but then once we shifted and got a new vocalist and all that, it like became more lopsided Providence, and it kind of just like felt like a new band at that point anyway. So we just like rebranded.
Yeah, yeah. So in between like 2017 and now when you put out Modern Grotesque,
Mm,
there was like a not a lull, but like between that it's like we're talking 4 years. What were you guys
yeah.
doing in that time? Were you guys just writing and kind of like making it perfect so that you could drop this album this year?
Yeah, it was just it was a lot of writing, and it was kind of like towards the end of the first year after the Distance Grows Founder was like when we kind of started slipping out from having our first vocalist. Life things were happening. It just wasn't working out. People were busier in different aspects of their life. It was kind of just like we moved on. Um, and so we had another vocalist after Ramsey that like was just that was a mess. That was another like half year of wasted time of
Yeah.
if we showed you all the songs, you're gonna write the things now. Oh wait, you have this other band that like you didn't tell us about, then now you're gonna dip and go do that. Oh, okay. If we were just gonna go in the studio in a month, no big deal. Okay, back to fucking square one.
Yeah.
So it's like we had half of Modern Grotesque basically written within like I don't know by 2018, I guess, and then yeah, like I said earlier, I've been in like a doom band with KZ for like one summer, and eventually I was finally just like nobody else is working out for vocals. Let's see if like KZ will just do it. Like
Yeah.
we've mentioned it before, but we were kind of like we didn't really know what direction we wanted to go in musically, really,
Yeah.
at the time. It was kind of like we were writing the songs, and then since we didn't have a vocalist, it was like, well, what's gonna like fit over this? Like we don't know. I don't know. We're not vocalists really, so we were just like afraid that they would be too intense, I guess, for what we were doing, which was just like, which was just wrong. Like it was obviously not true. So like that practice, like what it was like two practices where this person we were trying to have be a vocalist was like flaking and it wasn't working out. And out of anger, I was like, "Fuck it, I'm just gonna message KZ right now in the middle of practice," and I did that. And it was like 15 minutes later, and KZ was like, "Yeah, just send me this like song and I'll be there next week." And I was like, "Oh." That was fucking easy. Why didn't we do that from the first place? So like that happened, and then the rest of the entire album was written within like the next 6 months after that, like
Yeah.
basically. And yeah, and then we started finally being able to go into the studio to get it done and all that shit, and then the pandemic hit. So
And,
it's
and
yeah,
you and you do backing vocals as well in Dreamwell,
yeah,
correct? Were you guys
yeah.
ever
I have some lines.
were you guys ever thinking you would just do the vocals yourself without getting a vocalist? Because me being an ex-vocalist,
Yeah,
I know vocalists can be fickle at times. And
yep.
were you guys thinking of that?
Yeah, there was like a good probably like there was at least 6 months or like up to a year of time where there's just we couldn't find anybody like before we even found that one that we had like replaced for a bit. And I was at the point of just like yeah, it's like either we gotta like keep doing this and try to find somebody or like I guess I'll try and do vocals even though like I don't want to. But like it was kind of like a moment that I was just like I was hopeless personally. It was just like we're never gonna find somebody.
Yeah,
Like we're gonna keep trying to do this and it's not gonna work. Like I guess to keep my own hopes up, it was just like I'll try to write my own vocals and like do it myself.
yeah,
Like it never actually ever happened. It was like everybody else kind of just like, oh no, don't worry, like we're gonna find somebody. It was like probably mostly me, just like no, we can do this. We can do this. Just like I'll do the vocals. Like some of you guys can like step in. Like it'll be no big deal. Like we'll get it done. Like and it never fucking happened.
yeah,
But like, but yeah, no. And then so like finally all these things started falling into place and ended up working. But yeah, there was a brief period where it was just like maybe I'll do it.
yeah. I know, because sometimes you like bands get vocalists and they try them out, and then the sound of their vocals is just not, it doesn't fit with the band. So
Right.
sometimes you have to do like trial and error through like a few people to actually have the voice fit the music. You know what I mean? In your
Mm.
in your guys' ears. You know what I mean? Um,
Yeah.
so sometimes it can be hard. I was in a few bands and they went through a few things like that too. And I jumped into a band that kind of, I took over the vocals of like
Mm.
the ex vocalist, and so I know how it goes kind of.
Right.
So the reception of Modern Grotesque has been really, really good. I've
Yeah,
read
it's
some
been
great
nice.
reviews. I've read some great reviews. I love that album. That album is really, really
Thank you.
good.
Thank
It's
you.
definitely like one of the tops for me in 2021. Like I said, I love it, and congratulations on that release.
Thank you. Yeah, it's like we're extremely happy we finally have it out. But again, it's like we've been writing it for 4 years. So it's weird because in our heads, this album's been finished for like 2 years already.
Yeah,
And it's like it's finally out and like everybody's reacting. We're just like it's like at the tail end of like I've heard it so many times that I was finally about to be like, yeah, I mean it's good. I like it's fine. But now everybody else is like come back in the wave. There's like, oh wait, no, this is actually like really good. And I'm just like, yeah. I don't know if I'm just tired of it at this point though, but like I know it's good, but like now you're all telling me it's good, and it's like, oh, is it that good though? Like I don't know.
well, since that you had most of it written a while ago. How many new songs
Yeah.
do you guys? How many new songs do you guys have that you're holding on to right now?
So we actually did record one extra song in the same session as recording the album. Uh, so like we have one complete song that's already like mixed, mastered, just like off to the fucking side.
Yeah,
Um, we don't really know what we're doing with that yet. Maybe we'll like throw it on some random compilation that comes by. It's kind of like a situation of like it's basically like a B-side track, you know? So it's like, do we save it for another release and try to like tack it in and make it part of that? Or do we leave it by itself? Do we like try to bundle it as some stupid exclusive like secret track or something? Um, Actually, it's a song that we were supposed to do for a split with Amitie before I was even in Amitie,
yeah,
and then like they just kind of got like they had too many splits on their table, kind of almost.
yeah.
And then I kind of came to the picture, and it was like a we should do an LP at this point. So it was originally for that, but that kind of got scrapped. So we have that song. We have two others. Fuck. Three other songs that we're in the middle of writing. We kind of just finished one up at practice today. Um, yeah, we've been stuck in between of like, do we want to for our next release? Do we want to do an EP? Do we want to do a split?
Hmm.
Do we want to just send it and do a whole new record? We're kind of just like writing at this point, like
Yeah.
just thinking too much on like what you want to do with what you're creating is kind of just like you get stuck into like I need to make this for this, or it's just like it's just gonna bog shit down. So just keep doing the process and then figure it out later, almost.
Yeah, and plus, you guys, there's probably a bunch of different opinions on what you guys, it's
Yeah,
tough when you have
yeah,
multiple people in the band that have different opinions of what you guys want to do. So it's like,
yeah.
narrowing it down to like a specific thing could be tough at some
Mm.
point. I would
Y
love to see a split with you guys. And I mean, I don't know. There's so many good bands out there now. Like you said, it
yeah,
was kind of like a lull before with the scene, and now it's.
yeah.
I think it's flourished in the past like 3 or 4 years. There's a lot of like unique sounding like hardcore screamy bands,
Hmm.
and I think now, of course, COVID hit and
Yeah.
everything started to flourish, and now you drop this album and you can't really tour on it or anything like that. So it's
Yeah, that was the other thing. Is like after all these years, we finally have it ready, and it's like, how the fuck do you promote it? And like nobody knows how to promote an album in the middle of a pandemic. Like it hasn't happened. Um, Obviously, it's like, oh yeah, we put this out and we do like shows or like maybe a week run or something and do whatever, but you can't. So it's like, okay, do we hold on to it for another year
yeah,
or do we just let it out and hope enough people like it that when shit gets back to normal that they still care by the time we can
yeah.
and play for it.
I
Yeah.
think I think with the reception though, I think people will be like, excited to see you guys play it out live. To me, I think people would be really
I
into
hope
that,
so.
and especially if you guys you said there's 3 or 4 songs in your holster right now, and you play those
Hmm.
live too. I mean, that'll just give people more, apt to go see you guys perform live.
Yeah. Yeah, and like the main thing that's kind of holding us back from knowing what to do next as far as like what type of release is that we're kind of in the middle of, you know, the label juggle of do we just like hold on to ourselves and try to do everything completely independently, or well, now we have people like that are in the picture that we're talking to, like how much can we actually do with what we have
Yeah,
versus like that's kind of like what the issue was before we even dropped the album was like, okay, can we do these splits or can we do this thing without like having to jump through hoops to make it happen? Basically, it's like
yeah,
so it's like just a learning experience of figuring out what we can, what we can't do, what we want to do, or how much we want to give away, how much we want to keep, how much like it's a lot. It's like a lot of people are asking for vinyl. We want to do vinyl
mm,
really, really bad.
yeah,
Um, Initially we kind of like thought that was gonna happen. It fell through. That's its own story. Um, so it's like now do we self fund it or figure the people that we're talking to like have it happen through them.
yeah,
But it's also a pandemic, and even if and when we do that, it's like 5 months out from any records getting in our hands.
yeah, yeah. True. Yeah, they're pushed back because of
Yeah,
the people that make the vinyl, definitely.
right. So like at this point, it's like, yeah, we can just like try and push it out and get it out as quick as possible ourselves, but it's still gonna take half a year to like
Yeah,
even be a thing. So it's yeah, like what's another couple months at that point, and then anybody that's asking for records and shit, like yeah, we're trying to make it happen. I don't have a date. Nobody has a date. If like hopefully by the end of the year we'll have some wax you can throw on a needle. Like I don't know.
Now, speaking of Amitie, how did you hook up with those guys? I had seen those guys. Um, Luckily, I saw them open up for Jerome Stream when they played in
Mhm.
Somerville. That was like one of the last shows that I saw before this pandemic hit. How
Yeah.
did you get with those guys, and what are you guys working on now?
So probably my first interaction with Amidia was when they were still uh, as Tall Ships Set Sail, and we actually played a show with them and Labor Hex at AS220 when we were like in between finding vocalists. So like one vocalist we were trying out, like literally their first practice was that show.
Oh, no kidding.
Yep. So that was that show, and that's when I like I guess formally met Matt and like all those dudes. And Justin's been like the main tie between uh like us and the media, and Matt, who's in the media, runs Illuminate My Heart Records
Hmm.
and all that. Uh, so yeah, so he's like busy with all that, and eventually, I guess they like split with one of their members over like the pandemic, basically.
Yeah.
Um, and they needed a new bass player, so around the same time, Justin was figuring out his life and being offered lots of free money to go to school, but the school is halfway across the country in Iowa or Idaho, wherever the hell he's at. And so, yeah, basically, Justin wanted to go and fill the space, and he wanted to try it out and all that. And he kind of would have like been bass player over Media, but since he was going to live in Iowa, he couldn't really commit to it faithfully. So him feeling bad for me, knowing that he'd be away, and Dumel being slow, kind of was just like shuffled it off to me and was just like, "Hey, I know you need something to do. You want like, and I don't play bass a ton, but maybe you want to do it now. And I was like, fuck, yeah, I really want to do that. And so like I like slid in. I was like, hey Matt, can I try out? And so like yeah, I fucking showed up and did the thing. They liked me, and rest is history, I guess. And then now like the same situation is happening with the media, where it's just like we can't like find a vocalist that's solid enough. So now we're actually just like doing the backup plan of just like fuck it, we'll do vocals.
Yeah.
But like actually gonna hopefully go through with it this time. Yeah.
So, how many songs are you guys working on right now?
We have like
New stuff.
we have like a whole LP.
Really nice.
Yeah, it's like 7 or 9 songs or something like that.
Nice.
We every like practice we try to remember how many of them there are, and like we forget because we don't name any of them.
Yeah.
So it's like, what songs do we have that we also know? And then it's like, somebody plays like 5 notes. It's like, oh yeah, that one. And then it's like, okay. So yeah, but we're planning on hopefully getting that recorded up soonish, and doing stuff with it.
Yeah, that I can't wait to hear that. That'll be like I said, I can't wait. I can't wait to hear that stuff. I know how the track things are,
Yeah.
naming songs and stuff like that. Every band that I was with,
Yeah.
like, all right, guys, let's do 10. Wait, what's 10? 7. Let's do 7. 7 is the like.
Yeah, that's what we did a couple practices ago. We like played them all. I was like, okay, this one's 1, this is 2, this is 3. And then like 2 weeks later, we're like, we gave these songs all arbitrary numbers that none of us bothered to remember.
Yeah, it's happened to me a lot of times. Definitely, it happened to me so many times. So, is there anything else that you're doing musically, or is it just these 2 bands, or are you doing anything on the side?
It's mainly these 2 bands. Like I do some like stuff that's I guess my own that I kind of put under the name Dwelling.
Oh yeah,
But
that's right.
yeah, it's not like I have any plans whatsoever for it. It's just more so when I'm stuck in between, these 2 bands, and I'm playing and shit comes out that's obviously not meant for either of them. Basically, like anything that I play that's in any relative open tuning or has a lot of tapping, and it's just like more so, I guess, composed guitar music than post whatever the fuck you want to group it as. Yeah, all my pretty shit I call it Dwelling.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I basically just do all the guitars for that, and I do my own demos that I mostly keep to myself that I do all the instruments on. But yeah, again, there's no plans for it. The only thing I've done with it is like, it was either last summer, no, 2 summers ago. Every summer I go up to Maine with my buddies, and they own a cabin, and we just like hang out there for a long weekend. And one weekend I was like, fuck it, I'm bringing my guitar, and let's see if I can write and like record a whole EP or some shit while I'm up there. Because it's kind of just like go up there, do nothing but like walk on trails, go swimming in random water holes, and shoot guns. Like there's not much else you can do in the middle of central Maine.
Yeah.
When the town has a population of under 1,000. So that's what you do. And yeah, so kind of was like every morning I'd wake up, have some coffee or whatever, and go sit on like the porch outside. And like the cabin's beautiful. It's like on top of this giant hill that just has a bunch of blueberry bushes and shit. And you can like the entire horizon is just like trees. There's like one house that you see, but that's about it. The rest is like clouds in the sky, and it's great. So I kind of like go out there, have my coffee, like smoke half a joint or something, and I would just come up with whatever I'd write, and I'd like record it on my iPhone. And once it was like good enough-ish, I'd be like, that's fine. So I kind of like racked up a collection of like, I think it was like 8 of these like minute to 2.5 minute long. They're not even like really songs. They're just like a collection of riffs
Yeah.
almost. And like some are definitely feel more fleshed out as like songs. Um, I kind of like want to go back eventually and maybe like make them better because like they feel like they have potential. But more so, I just wanted to go up there and like have this very raw thing that just like kind of came out, recorded, and like done with. Like I didn't really rehearse any of the takes. Like I came up with the idea, played it once or twice, and I was like, yeah, I have the tempo or whatever, and I just hit record and sent it. And like I sent it to uh our friend James, and he just like mastered it for cheap. And like I put it out as like main EP, and it's on fucking Bandcamp.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that's all I've done with that. So I don't know what's happening with that, what I'm gonna do with it, whatever. I don't know. Anything that doesn't fit anything that's like remotely heavy, I push it off to that and
Yeah.
might do something.
Now, how was your trip to Vermont a little while
Oh,
back?
it was great. It was great. It was much needed.
Yeah.
The last month just getting like Dreamwell's album out was it was stressful. There was a lot of just yeah, like the falling out with the label shit last second and trying to keep things on track. And between all the people like trying to do like random interviews and reviews and shit and just trying to keep up with like the press side of everything. I was on the edge of just like being burnt out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Definitely.
uh that and it was like me and my fiance's 8th anniversary, so we had to go for the trip
Yeah.
because it's warranted.
Yeah.
Uh we both need to get a break. We don't
Yeah.
go on any vacations the whole year besides like that one trip. That isn't even a full week. But
Well,
yeah,
it's
so
good.
we
It's good. It's good that you can decompress when you go up there, and it's not think about things, or I don't know. You maybe
yeah,
you
it's
do
like
think about things.
any chance I can get to run away to the woods and just only look at fucking trees. That's like I take that chance basically. Even if it's 20-degree weather the whole weekend, that's what we did.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. We basically stayed in we rented out an Airbnb that was like somebody's barn on their property that was like built in 1800 or some shit that they renovated. Um, yeah, so we stayed in that for the long weekend and went hiking and shit.
Yeah.
It was,
That's awesome.
it's like another situation. It's Orange, Vermont, so there's nothing but trees.
Yeah. Me being from New Hampshire, I know all about trees. So,
Mm.
um,
Trees are great. I love trees.
I always talk about like the genre of things that me and my buddy Ron always talk about it, that
Mm.
screamo and scrams and stuff like that, everything gets lopped into like that genre, which like
Yeah.
when back in the day, screamo wasn't even a thing. They, when Seisha
Yeah.
and Jerome's Dream and stuff like that word wasn't even a thing at that time. And then all of a
Mm.
sudden, bands got lopped into that screamo genre, and then all of a sudden it turned into scrams, which like I'm an older guy, so like I don't even understand where that came from, and yeah,
Right.
I
So
just
like for me, it's like I didn't discover those bands until it was called Scrams. Like that's what I mean when like my entire like timeline of discovering music is like it started like when it should have started probably, but then I missed everything after because I didn't have the LimeWire capabilities. So it was like I had these like physical CDs that I knew of, and then anything that was happening in the world from I don't know early 2000s to like until like Rhapsody came out as an app on like my iPod Touch. It was like I didn't. It was hard for me to discover anything because I didn't have a computer that had internet at my house.
yeah.
Like I said, like my brothers fucking toasted it with porn and like fucking LimeWire. Like it didn't exist, and then my mom gave up trying to like buy new computers every fucking 2 years, which like I understand. I wouldn't want to do that either. Um, but yeah, so it's like once I got to middle school, there's a girl I was a friend with for a bit. She just like randomly stole my iPod one day and was like, "Oh, I need to give you all this new music because you obviously don't know what the fuck to listen to." So like I found Dance Gavin Dance and like Minus the Bear and a bunch of like other bands I guess at that time that were peaking. Only through that because like somebody just literally took my device of music and like put it on for me. And it was like, yeah, here you go. And it was like, this is what I listen to now. Okay. Um, yeah, so like until I had Rhapsody and like Spotify finally became a thing was like more so when I finally was discovering music on my own. But like it did definitely like start with me like, searching Touche Amore and Pianos Become the Tea at first.
Yeah.
Like the first Pianos album I listened to was like off a YouTube link. And I listened to that and was like, huh, this is really cool, but like I've never heard anything like this in my life. So like it kind of took me almost like a week and a half of like listening to it over and over to like process like, oh, this is like actually something different and I like this, and it kind of like falls into what like I think I'm making music wise kind of, because yeah.
So
Like it's like I
did
had a lot of influence from like Red Hot Chili Peppers of anything. Like I listened to Stadium Arcadium so many fucking times that like I would learn songs from that album basically, and then like I'd somehow would take whatever chords I'd find from John Frusciante and shit and like turn it into scrams somehow. Like I don't even know. It's all over the place.
now did you take a deep dive into like that genre, like from back in the day, like the Usurp Synapse and you know Helena Troy and like, because Matt Gordon's watching right now from Helena Troy. He used to be in States of Seeds. Um,
Nope.
like usually
I have no idea.
no. Did you
Nope.
did you listen to those? Did you listen to those bands at all?
Oh.
No. Well,
No.
I'll send you some links.
Please do.
Um,
That's like I missed such a big gap of like if I probably had internet access at the time, like just time in general, like I maybe would have found it, but anything that happened on MySpace, I missed.
yeah.
I don't know. Like basically the birth of Facebook and on is like when I finally was able to like interact with other musicians basically outside of just my high school.
Yeah. Now with new music, the past couple of years, what have you been listening to for heavier music that somebody might not have heard, and that somebody should check out? That's like, maybe an older guy like me that hasn't heard new
Mhm.
bands that you're into. What should somebody like? What have you been listening to?
I guess most recently the new Islet record.
Mm,
That's been fucking me up, yeah.
yeah, that's good.
I've been listening to that one a lot. Um, Mostly that. New Black Sheep Wall is insane. Um, yeah, those have been like the ones I've been listening to the most. And then AFI is like coming out with their new album, so they have their singles that are out. Uh, so I've kind of been preparing myself for the new AFI album by just listening to lots of AFI's discography. But as far as like strictly new music, Black Sheep Wall and Islet, I've been listening to a ton. Which
With
is Islet's like definitely more on the I, I don't even want to say blackened. It's not even like blackened. It's just grindy,
mm,
grindy black scrams. I don't know.
yeah.
Like,
No,
I hate genre. Like I hate putting a name to fucking music. It's just like because none of it makes sense to me in general, and then I have to try to explain how it makes sense, and I don't know how it makes sense, so I don't know how to explain that it makes sense.
yeah. I mean, for me, everything that's heavy or has that type of aesthetic or feel to it is just hardcore and punk to me. Like, I know
Right.
I know that's very
Like
broadened. I know that's very broadened, but like there's too many genres to like pin down what somebody is or what somebody isn't or this and that. So I just say like
Mhm.
anything that's like has that energy and feel to it is like a hardcore punk type of style for me.
Yeah, the way I explain, I like basically if like a normie asks me if, like what kind of music I play, it's kind of just like, uh, well, do you know what post rock is? And then it's just like, I don't know, and I'll be like, Pink Floyd. And they're like, okay, sure. And it's like, yeah. So like post rock and loud, angry punk music in one. Like that's
Yeah.
along the lines. That's basically what we do. And then that kind of basically gets the point across. Basically, like any way I can explain it without saying metal.
Mm.
Because once you say metal, everyone like kind of immediately goes to, you know, like hair metal or
Yeah.
like I don't
Like,
know, Iron Maiden or something. Which is like I love Iron Maiden, that's sick,
yeah.
but it's definitely not metal. But then if you just say punk, then they think the Ramones, and then you have to explain that there's punk music outside of the Ramones that exists. And yeah.
When I listened to Dreamwell the first time, or well, like actually the newer album, you guys have a similar sound to like the you know that band Respire.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
guys kind of like have a similar sound. They're like a little more on that dreamy, epic
hmm
type style, but like it's like similar in that, and I love that Respire album that they just put out.
It blows my mind how well they're able to like mix the strings, like the like violins and whatever the hell other string instruments they have going on, like just into the music that you can actually hear it. But then because actually like I waited for that album, their latest album to drop for a while, and it finally came out, and I listened to it all the way through, and I was just like, yeah, I love that, but like for some reason the mix on it like felt like slightly off. I was like, I don't know why. Like I feel like it should have felt more full, but then like I listened to it a second time, and that's kind of like what I remembered. Like, oh wait, yeah, they have three guitars and like a cello and a violin. Like, there's a
Yeah,
lot of layers you have to like let be exposed so you can hear it all, but then like none of it be mush and like. So then like I finally I listened to it like another couple times. And it's like, okay, I know it makes sense. This is like this is actually just like insane how they even make it work.
yeah, they got a
So
lot of stuff going on, definitely.
they're so good. We want to play a show with them so bad.
Yeah, that would be amazing if you guys played the show.
It-
Usually,
yeah.
usually before like I wrap things up, I do a rapid fire question with everybody that I
Mhm.
talk to. So I got a bunch of questions that I'd like to ask you.
Sure.
Uh, your favorite all-time New England hardcore punk band from New England?
From New England.
Could be like hardcore punk, meaning like screamo or grindcore. Well, you know what I mean. Just like a heavy New England band
Yeah.
that's your favorite.
Um.
Or you can give me two. It doesn't matter.
I guess I would just have to like go all the way back to roots and just say like Have Heart because at the end of the day they're probably one of like the first hardcore bands in general that I even like heard of.
Mm.
Um. And back in the day I was straight edge, so it kind of
Yeah.
helped a lot with that. But yeah, I guess like strictly from New England, I'd probably have to. Well, I would say Old Graves like they didn't get canceled years back and like fucking fall apart. But um, yeah, I guess I'll just stick with Half Heart. That's
Have
that's
heart.
a safe bet.
All right.
Actually, my first ever like that hardcore band that I had, our T-shirts we like got made through one of the members through Have Heart, and
Oh,
I
no
thought that
kidding.
was the coolest fucking shit in the world as
Yeah,
a
no kidding.
16-year-old. I was like, oh my god, the guy from Have Heart's making my T-shirts. Oh my god! And it's just like now I realize how the world is. I'm like, he was just getting a buck. Yeah, that
Yeah,
makes
yeah.
sense. Like that's what we all do.
My second question: what was the first punk hardcore show you attended?
Terror, Counterparts, Expire, and 100th. at
And
the Worcester Palladium,
Worcester Palladium, nice, nice.
2014.
And what kind of impact did that have on you when you went there?
Um, it was the first concert I've been to that was like, like general admission where you just stood on the floor in front of the band.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I remember like Expire opened and that was like my first experience like actually seeing people just like full out moshing
Hmm.
and just being at like I think this like show was like basically sold out too. So, like how the was like upstairs at the Palladium, that's the smaller room. Like
Yeah.
when you walk in and it's like stage to the right and it's
Yeah.
just like it's sardine in from the doors that open.
Yeah.
So it's like we got there a couple minutes late and so like Expire already started their set basically. And it was like trying to like work your way in from the doors to like closer to the front of the stage so that I like make your way up for the later show. And it was just like, yeah, it was like my first experience seeing people, I like hate mosh, I guess, and like shit, just like fucking swinging the fuck out of anybody around besides. And I was like, oh, yeah, I guess this is kind of not troublesome, but like, oh, I need to like look out at like what's going on.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it was like the first time I experienced that type of music in the live setting, and I was like, oh, all right, this is like what you do. That's like cool, I guess. Like I'm not gonna be one of those people doing that, but I'm gonna sit here and try to mind my own business, basically.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, like being a scrawny 16-year-old is not really like you're gonna fucking protect yourself from much. Uh, so yeah, that was like my first like actual, yeah, that was like my first straight up just like heavy show that I've been to
Yeah.
outside of, yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it.
Um, my next question: all-time favorite punk hardcore show you played as like either in Dreamwell or
And I played. It has to be probably the tip show that we played with Anyone Anyway, and Justin got his fucking eyebrow busted open. It was just this packed, like literally packed basement show um, that we played in Lowell, and I think we played second or something. And when Anyone Anyway was playing, they were finishing off their set, and Nick, their vocalist, is kind of like at one of like the hype parts, kind of like when they ran out into the crowd because like yeah, what else would you do? Like I said, they're known for having a great live experience and like
yeah,
do
yeah,
their shit. So so they ran out and it happens to be like Justin in front of me and then like me directly behind him, like maybe 6 people deep in the crowd, and they just kind of like run out and it creates like like a parting of like the Red Sea basically.
yeah, yeah.
And it was like, oh yeah, this is cool, this is sick. I'm just like watching, like, sucking it all in. And Justin kind of just like taps me on my shoulder, and I look at him, and it's just blood rush, like just going down his fucking eye and face. And I just like see this half a centimeter like open gap in his eyebrow. I was just like, oh, and like so you kind of like had me like to see how bad it was, and like my reaction didn't make him feel good at all, basically. So he kind of like was him looking at me like, oh, it's bad, and I was like, yeah, we need to go. So we basically just like ran out after that from the basement, ran to my car, and I don't know where the hospital is. Everyone's like, we need to like get you to a hospital or something, but I always keep like band-aids in my glove box. So I ran to my car, like opened the glove box, grabbed the box of band-aids, turned around, looked at him, just looked at the box, looked at him, and was just like, yeah, these aren't gonna work. Like we need to go to the hospital. And I'm decently buzzed at this point or whatever. But I don't know, it's pure adrenaline. I need to get my buddy to the fucking hospital and get his face sewn up. So yeah, so like that show, that was great. We played great. It was fun. All that kind of just like came up to this point, and we had to just like rush halfway across Lowell to get Justin to the hospital. get this shit stitched up, and like the whole time this happened, everybody else in the band like messaged us like, "What the fuck's going on? Like, is everybody okay? Like, where are you guys?" And
Yeah.
like my fiance is like at the show still, like went to the bathroom and was like, "Wait, you guys left?" And I'm just like, "Oh my God, I can't explain any of this. I'm in the emergency like room, like sitting there." And I was like, "Well, yeah, Justin's gonna go in. Like, we can't like leave him alone." And like the doctor finally comes in, and it's like, "Yeah, Justin." And Justin's like stands there and like looks at me. He's like, "Uh, it, is it okay if like my boyfriend comes in?" And the doctor's like, "Yeah, no, that's totally fine." So I basically just sat in the room drunker by
Sorry, somebody
the
was calling.
minute. Just like getting
Um,
drunker by the blood loss that he had, and like just sitting there and listening to him deal with the doctor and just give him a hard time. um, but yeah, it was a fun night. That
so
was like,
was it a headbutt that hit him, or was it like a microphone that
yeah,
hit him?
they basically like went head on head.
Yeah,
It
but
was like basically like this part of Nick's head just like ran into his eyebrow and like grazed it and
yeah, and
just
that
busted it
so,
open. It happens. So yeah, so I ended up getting like 12 stitches or something like
wow,
that.
that's quite a bit of stitch. I'm sure
Yeah,
Justin will never
we
forget
didn't
about that.
we didn't leave Lowell until like 1 in the morning or some shit. Like the other half of the band actually ended up driving to like a different campus of the of the hospital. So like they finally got there with all our gear that like we were like worrying about because like, oh no, we're trusting like a drummer and our significant others with loading up our gear and like hoping nothing happens to it like out of this random dungeon basement. So it's just like, oh yeah, hopefully our system works at the end of the night, but like they're nice enough to take care of that shit for us.
Yeah. So,
But yeah, that show was great.
um,
So like yeah, that one or like at URI we played to it was just like us and one other band because another band had some drop, and we basically just played like this random college campus show in a auditorium for like a bunch of just like very young college students that were never heard us but were very down for it, and
yeah.
like it was sick
Were you guys
just be
playing on a
welcomed like
stage?
that.
Were you guys playing on a stage there?
Um, Anthony played on a stage. There's like a riser that was literally honestly only room for a drum kit, and
Yeah.
I guess our amps if we wanted to put them on there, but that wasn't gonna happen. So
Yeah.
we all played on the floor. Anthony played on the riser, and besides that, it was like a 20-foot room, like 20-foot ceiling conference, like auditorium college
Yeah.
room.
Huh.
And it
Nice.
was very cold outside, and yeah, it was good. It was fun.
Uh, my next question: all-time favorite punk hardcore show you attended as like a person that went to the show and just watched. What was your favorite? It could be one or two. You know, what bands and what you know. Why was it very important to you?
Um, very early on, like in my show going experience, I don't know if I guess this like counts as punk or hardcore, but I went to a cloakroom and war show at Middle East downstairs, whatever the small room at Middle East is.
Oh, that's upstairs. Yeah, Middle East
Yeah,
upstairs.
that one. It was it was the loudest show I've like ever experienced. Like I was all the way at the back near like the exit door, basically, and the shit was just still rattling in my brain. Like I've never been to a show where everything was as loud as that was. Like Cloakroom was really, really, really loud, and then War played, and it was somehow even louder. Like there was a point like where I was like, I almost have to like step out of this place because like it was just making your fucking head pound.
Yeah, yeah,
Like it's just
yeah.
it's sound, and yeah, so that was a great show. And then what other shows have I been to? I went to the like Half Heart reunion show that was outside. That was way too hot and
Oh,
was
yeah, that was
miserable.
crazy. That was crazy.
That show actually like kind of sucked, but It was definitely memorable.
Yeah. Why did it just suck? Just because there was so many people outside?
It was like 90 degrees outside in the middle of July or some shit.
Yeah.
Like it was too hot.
Yeah.
It was outside, like you were sunburned by the end of the damn show.
Yeah.
Like there were still people like stage diving and shit, but I don't know how they didn't just collapse from like heat exhaustion.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Like I probably still have the sunburn like tan lines from that show. Like that's how bad it was. Like the show was great. It was awesome. Like I saw Vane for the first time and like all this shit, but it was just like, damn, I was really excited and I'm just like out here suffering.
Yeah.
Like you had to wait like there was a line literally like just 3 blocks around the fucking block or whatever like
Yeah.
Worcester is that you had to wait in to get in. And then you got there and like there was a line for the ATM that was like from the ATM to the back of the place where people can stand in the stage.
Oh God.
So I think Vane's entire set I spent waiting in the line for the ATM.
I mean,
so
outdoor festivals are always, that's the problem. I went to Lollapalooza in Rhode Island before when Smashing Pumpkins headlined, and it was so hot at that Lollapalooza. Obviously, they had like the mist tents going and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It didn't do anything for anybody. It was like you said, it was like 90 degrees, super humid. I don't miss those times at all. I was younger then. I could never do it now, but it reminds me of stuff like that.
Yeah. It's like this is a certain temperature that it gets to, and it's just too much. Yeah.
I'm a big movie guy. I watch movies all the time. So I always ask this question: what was the last movie you watched?
I'm probably the opposite. I watch almost no movies like anytime, but the last like front to back movie that I went out of my way to watch was like Bones Brigade, the documentary on like you know like the first skate team with like Tony Hawk and Rodney Mullen and all that shit.
Yep.
That was probably like the last full movie I've watched. Yeah.
And when was it? How long ago was that?
I don't know, maybe like a month ago at this point. It was great. I mean, I learned more than I already did know about it. It's yeah, it's cool to see how like Rodney Mullen almost like wasn't allowed to be a pro skateboarder, and then was getting interviews, and his dad was finally just like, "Shit, I guess I gotta let you do something you like doing."
Yeah.
And, like. And then, but also, like, the point that, like, all these, like, 12, 13-year-old kids are just, like, part of a skate team that are, like, traveling across the country by Stacy Peralta. Like, basically some random dude just like, yeah, let me take your kids out for the skate competition. No big deal.
I know, too.
But, like, fuck, they're all, like, crazy now because of it.
Yeah, I know. My next question, favorite all-time horror movie for you?
All-time horror movie. I really like Hereditary of like all the movies.
I do too.
Yeah, I watched that with Justin like 2 times. After when this was like pre-pandemic, usually after we Dreamwell practice on like Sundays and then in the afternoon. So whenever we finished is like around 5, and basically like everybody would kind of trickle out, but like Justin lives at the place that we practice, so I'd kind of like stick around, and he'd basically put on like whatever movie he thinks I should probably watch at the time, or like what is probably like up and coming and like I should watch. But basically we'd have like random movie nights like every other practice after practice, whatever I'm trying to say. But anyways, he showed me that like one time and was like, damn, that's a really good movie. And like it's specifically the scene where like her head gets knocked off.
Oh yeah.
The telephone pole. That fucked me.
Yeah.
I just remember like sitting there just like, yeah, this is cool, and then that happened, I was like,
yeah.
What?
Yeah,
I was like when they're up in the attic and she's like, ah.
Yeah, that movie is great. I was like, when her
Yeah, I
head hit
really
that
liked it.
telephone pole, I was like, oh shit! I
Yeah.
like it took me
I
like
was like,
I
yep,
wasn't
okay,
expecting
she's
that.
gone. It's over. Like,
I wasn't
okay.
expecting that at all. And then he went home with like he was worried, but he was like playing it off like nothing happened.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Like, wasn't like the body still in the car until the next morning, and like the parents found it. It was like, you needed to
yeah,
tell us that like your fucking sister is dead. Like,
yeah, yeah. That now have you seen Midsommar? The
yeah, I like. I feel like I need to rewatch it,
hmm,
but that was another post practice movie that we watched.
yeah, yeah. It
Um,
I don't think it lived up to Hereditary because I mean it's
I
the
I
same
expected
director.
more from it. Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted more. I think it was more drawn out too. Like it was kind of boring in the middle. Nothing really was happening.
Hmm.
Not that something has to happen all the time, but I felt like
Right.
it was too drawn out and don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
I like it, but I didn't think it was up. You know, it's not the same caliber as Hereditary.
No. No. I feel like it could have been maybe, but yeah. Like yeah, another one actually was the Lighthouse. I like that one too. That one I need to like go back to. But I kind of do. I don't watch a lot of movies, but like any movie that I've watched that's like a one room movie,
Mm,
like I've highly enjoyed because like for some reason they seem to keep me like concentrated on them most because like I guess I'm trying to find the details like they're hiding, I
yeah,
guess. Yeah, like if it's a movie that's like held to one room, I think you're probably supposed to fucking pay attention to what's going on.
yeah,
Whereas like if it's a normal movie and like a lot of shit's happening, I'm just like I don't know, I just lose interest. Like I need it to constantly be like a train of thought. Like if you don't pay attention, you're gonna lose the entire movie, basically.
yeah. My last question is I'm a big hip hop guy. More so me. I'm more of a '90s hip hop guy. But
Mhm.
if you've been listening to hip hop at all, whether it be new stuff or old stuff, what have you been listening to for hip hop? And do you have any
Um,
suggestions on anything that people should be listening to in that genre?
yeah, I've for hip hop, I've like mostly listened to like that new I want to like it's not like a split LP or EP or whatever that like newest thing that Denzel Curry did. Um, yeah, I don't know what to call that release. It's like an EP or like a split release with whoever else he did it with. Um, it's like in between an EP and LP, so like I don't fucking know. But that was really sick. I enjoyed that a lot. Um, there's that, and then I fell back into like Unity TX or like Texas, whatever that band is. It's like the hardcore like rap band that like basically just mixes like hardcore and rap music. Um, I've been like listening to them kind of, but like that last release was 2018.
Yeah,
But like as far as like straightforward hip hop, I guess like yeah, basically it's like Denzel Curry and anything else that's like more on like the weird side of hip hop, like anything that isn't just like I guess like roots.
yeah,
Talk, I mean most of like hip hop for me is just like I personally can't kind of relate to like what like the lyric matter is, so it's like hard for me to I guess like I like at the end of the day I can't really like relate to like what's happening. I can't understand, but like I can try.
yeah,
So it's like I guess I use it more as like educating myself
yeah.
as far as like hip hop goes. But I've never had like a base like solidified like where to start with hip hop. Like I've done like MF Doom a lot in the last bit because like the whole passing of him and that, and I've
Yeah.
had to like catch up. Like, yeah, but like I feel like I'm in a constant game of catch up, like
Mm,
being how young I am, I guess. It's like trying to keep track of every single window of music and like which one I should like learn up on and which one I should be like falling back on so I can get to the next one. It's like hip hop has been the hardest one because I've had no one to like steer me into a direction,
Yeah.
basically.
I mean, that's why
Besides like trying to find what's like the most real and authentic.
yeah, that's why I kind of gear towards the '90s hip hop because it's more of a
Hmm.
conscious type lyrics. It's not like
Right.
it's not about money and cars and
Yeah.
Gucci belts and stuff like that.
Hmm.
It's more of a conscious style and more lyrics and stuff like that. That's why I go back. I'm old though, so I
Yeah.
grew up with the '90s and stuff like that.
Hmm.
I mean, it's great for you though, being so young that you can like.
Yeah.
There's so much music that you haven't heard that like it must be
Yeah.
a good thing for you to like you can go back and listen to whatever and it's brand new to you.
Oh,
Um,
it's awesome. There's so, like there's almost too much that's out there, you know. Yeah. Yeah, even like Soul Glow, like what they're doing. They're mixing the worlds of fucking hip hop, whatever, and whatever you want to call it, scrams and
yeah,
like all that shit. Like that last EP they just put out like a couple weeks ago or whatever.
yeah, so
Like
good.
half of it's like basically hip hop and the rest is just like straightforward chaos.
Yeah, yeah.
It's awesome. Like
They take from so many different
yeah.
genres too. Like even their older albums, you can
Mm,
hear like all kinds. You can hear straight up like street punk
yeah.
to like a grind chorus type like
Mm,
thing. A little bit of hip
yep.
hop, a little bit of scrams. Like they just like are a blender of all types of genre, and they make it work so good. I talked to
Yeah.
Ruben. I talked to Ruben a couple weeks ago. That was
Yep.
really fun, and I love Soul Glow. If anybody
Hmm.
hasn't heard that, they should definitely listen to that new EP.
Yeah, I've seen them like a handful of times live, and each time I saw them, it was just like, oh, they're just getting better. Like
Mm,
they aren't stopping. Like, they got better each time. And I think the last time I saw them was when they opened up for the 10-year Touche and Pianos tour.
yeah.
Yeah, that was at Palladium too, actually.
Oh,
Like that was the last time I saw them, and that
that
was
must have
like,
been a good show. That must have been a really good show.
yeah, yeah, that was cool. That's like when they started like they had more. They had the whole laptop out and all the other shit like on the bass side of the stage that was like running things. And last time I saw them it was just like a single chaos pad and like a mixer, and I was like, they're doing the things and they're doing it way cool and it's better.
Yeah. um,
Yeah,
I want to
they're awesome.
I want to thank you so much for taking time out to do this. I know Sundays
Yeah,
sometimes people that it's their relaxation day and
I mean,
I really appreciate you taking the time out to speak to me. And
yeah, thank you.
when shows start happening again, me being in New Hampshire, I'm gonna try to set up something when everything's safe. I talked to Justin from New Forms. I don't know if you've heard
Okay,
them.
yep. Yeah,
We're,
we
we're,
played a
we're
show with them in Rhode Island.
we're friendly and we were talking about maybe doing like some sort of small fest for a benefit or something like that
Sick.
up in Massachusetts or New Hampshire. So once things get back to normal, if you guys ever need anything up in New Hampshire or whatever,
Hmm.
I'd love to help you guys out, whether it be a basement show or whatever.
Yeah, definitely.
And hopefully, things get back to the way it was and we
Hmm.
can actually meet each other face to face and
Yeah, it'd be nice to move out of whatever world this is right now.
definitely. And like I said, if you guys are playing Rhode Island, I'll definitely come down
Hmm.
or wherever, you know what I mean? Because I used to go
Yeah,
all over
like
the place.
totally.
I'd go Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Rhode Island,
Hmm.
Connecticut. I'd go down to Connecticut, and I'd always videotape shows. I feel like kind of like an old man that it's kind of shitty to put your phone out now because back in the day I had a camcorder all the time with me,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
now everybody has phones, and it's not PC anymore to have your phone out,
Somehow the phone is more ignorant than a normal camera. Like,
That's what I mean. But I've archived
yeah,
so many shows that like now it's
right.
like a thing for me. So I feel like the asshole that's like has my phone out now. But I have so many shows
It's like,
recorded.
yeah, I mean, at least there's like a distinct difference between someone holding up their phone and recording what you're doing and then like staring at their phone and fucking texting their friend.
Yeah, true.
You know, like at least there's a difference you can tell if you like look up and it's like, why am I gonna complain about somebody taking more footage of like what's happening?
Yeah.
Like I think that's stupid.
Yeah. Or you got
Um,
the people that record like this while they're rocking out, and then all you see is
yeah,
your hand going like
and
this.
then you get nothing, and then like they'll kind of like send it to you afterwards. You're like,
I
thanks.
see that a lot actually, which I'm like, God damn, like I can imagine like looking at that the next day and being like, what the fuck did I just record?
Yeah. Actually, I had like a phone that the microphone on it like gave out, so anytime it would like be any low range of like bass happening in a video I'd be taking, like the microphone would die. So like as soon as like
Oh,
the bass hit, it would be like and just like play that for the rest of the fucking video. So I had like a collection of like whatever last show I went to, and I had all these videos. Like, yeah, I can watch these later, and I went back and it was just they were all.
yeah.
I was like,
I know a lot of the
I
Samsung
wasted
phones,
all this time.
a lot of the Samsung phones would like crackle. Any type of like heavy bass
Oh.
with it would go. You would hear like the crackle of the phone all the time. Which my buddy used to do hip hop shows, and I'm like, dude,
Yeah.
why are you recording it? Because every single beat cracks your phone, and it sounds like you can't even watch the video. It's so horrible.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But when I do see Dreamwell or Amitie, I'll
Mm.
be recording because like I said, I always have been doing it. I've been doing it since
Yeah.
1988. It's been a long time. I just continually record shows, and like I said, I've been in a few bands up in New Hampshire, so I've always been in the scene, and so I'd love to see you guys definitely, and Amitie too, which are kind of bummed that you
Totally.
weren't in there when I saw him, but
Yeah, that would have been cool.
I definitely want to hear the new music that you guys are working on too as well.
Yeah, I'm excited to finally get that together and get it out there. It'll be nice.
Definitely. All right. Stay safe, my friend, and
You too.
definitely stay in touch. And thank you again
Yeah.
so much for doing this with me.
Dude, thank you.
All right, Ryan. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, sounds good.
All right, man. Bye.
See ya.